Hi guys, today I want to talk to you about factory presets. Of course, synthesizers like the MS20 right here, this is the mini version. Synthesizers like these are not digitally controlled, so the makers were not able to put factory presets in them upon the touch of a button. However, they did include booklets like these. Today I want to play the MS20 by the books, exactly the way they intended me to play it. I will try to not tweak the sounds to my own liking, and if I do so, I'll state it in the video. I will also record samples of these patches and make it available to you. More about that at the end of the video. Let's start.
So let's get started. The first patch is actually a trumpet. Let's see if it sounds anything like a trumpet. Okay, so let's sample this. This is gonna take like 2 minutes per instrument. Second patch, another wind instrument, the clarinet. So this is what the people at Korg imagined a clarinet sounded like in the late 70s. Really pretty. It's time to get sexy with the saxophone. And this is the first time the second oscillator gets used. So even though I'm following this one, I need to tune it by ear to make sure that the pitch is not off. But here it is, the saxophone. I've heard better. But let's sample it for you. Back to one oscillator for the oboe sound. It says to get the most realistic oboe sound, carefully adjust the tone color with the VCO1 full script knob. Although it doesn't really sound like the real instrument, I think this would be a great starting point for getting a cool lead sound. I'll sample it for you guys. Flute number 1. The second version of the flute, flute number 2, is a more complex sound. It says it's gonna sound more realistic, and that's due to the fact that the filter is gonna open up the higher you play, like in a real flute. The higher you play, the brighter the sounds get, and it's also gonna use the external signal processor for the first time. So let's patch it up. You can hear some of the noise coming through, mimicking the wind sound. And that concluded all the wind instruments. It seems that it's time for the strings, because the next one is a violin. Let's see how that's gonna sound. Close your eyes and imagine a kid playing a violin on the streets. That's what we call a quality violin sound. Cello. The second cello of the book uses 2 foot controllers, which I don't have, so I'm gonna play it without and see if it still sounds okay. I've got high hopes for this next patch. It's for the accordion, which is the instrument I want to play as a kid, but I never got to learn it. And the MS20 actually really looks like an accordion, I think, so let's hope it sounds like one. This actually sounds like a patch I would use, so I'm definitely gonna remember this one. I'm gonna sample it for you guys as well. Yeah! MS20 accordion. The acoustic bass. The book is only showing numbers, so having it on the instrument as well is really showing its value right now. Banjo. Well, next up, the electric bass, and this is the first time the momentary switch is being used, and when you touch it, you'll get a pitch bend. To me, it sounds a bit like a palm muted bass. And as you see, as soon as I use the switch, the pitch is going up. It's time for the electric piano, which is going to be interesting because this, of course, is a monophonic instrument. But by sampling, I'll be able to play it like it's intended, perhaps by the people at Korg back in the late 70s. And they must have had like 88 of these. Maybe they played it like a piano. Let's test the polyphony. I'm now playing the samples I just recorded from the MS20, but on my MIDI keyboard. Back to the book. Another classic, the Hammond Organ. What they do here is really clever. They take the second oscillator and they detune it to a fifth. So it sounds like you're playing two keys on the Hammond, which gets done a lot. It doesn't sound as aggressive as the Hammond, but that's something I feel like most patches here do. I tend to open up the filters way more on these synths, but we're following the books here, so let's just follow it. They added another trick. The momentary switch controls a vibrato, which you would see from a Leslie speaker. Let's get funky with the Clavinet, back to the 60s. This is where we get to see the Japanese roots of Korg. Taishogoto. Timpani. I've got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. Finally, the first synthesizer sound, Synthesizer 1, and it doesn't really say more than how to tune it, so yeah. Synthesizer number 2, just one oscillator, but it uses the control wheel to change the pitch and tone color. Synthesizer 3, a rounded tone suitable for spacey sounds. The next one is an exciting one, not one which I'm really able to sample for you guys, but it's a patch where you control the MS20 with your guitar. So you get a jack to jack cable, in this case a jack to mini jack cable because the MS20mini has smaller plugs. And you plug it into the input of the external signal processor. The patchbook states that I might need to tweak something to make it work with the guitar, but let's see what the stock setting gets me. It clearly needs more work to get it working properly. It's not gonna be for this video, but if you like to see that, guys, let me know and I might make another video out of it. We got to the quirky part. The part where they decided it was a great idea to have a police siren. Lovely. Storm. Patches like these really show the capabilities of the synthesizer in another ways than just musical. So for instance, for sound design. It really sounds like rain or wind. And you're even supposed to be able to add thunder with this button. I don't see how this is supposed to sound like thunder. I checked it 3 times, but it still sounds like this. The Lasergun. This even shows how to play it. Dive bombing. Next up, the most glitchy chimes you can imagine. To be honest, I'm quite glad to say we got to the last one. It's called the Falling Star. And it doesn't use any oscillators. It's fully based on the oscillation of the filters. Well, that's the end of it. Well, of course, there's more. There's examples on how to patch, but those aren't actual full patches. You also get some blank charts so you can draw up your own patches. I must say, yes, it's been interesting. I don't feel like these were sounds I'm ever gonna use, but it did give me additional insight in the instrument. So if you have a synthesizer like the MS20 or any other synthesizer that doesn't have factory patches with a touch of a button, I do suggest you check out if there's a manual like this, because it teaches you how to use it and how not to use it. And it's a bit like the factory sounds on other instruments. It's gonna give you a great canvas to start experimenting with. I hope you enjoyed this. If you like any of the sounds, I sampled quite a few of them. You'll be able to download them via a link in the description. And let me know what you think and which sounds you like the most. See you next time.